Have breaking updates. Breaking updates. Very important. There's a reason why the public has shifted from being a little skeptical of Justin Baldoni to basically just rooting outright for Justin Baldoni at this point. If you can avoid this movie, you absolutely should, because it's absolute trash.
Ryan Reynolds. The name conjures images of effortless charm, razor-sharp wit, and blockbuster success. He's cultivated an image as the affable everyman who just happens to be a Hollywood megastar. From Deadpool's irreverent anti-hero to his self-deprecating humor on social media, Reynolds has crafted a persona that resonates with audiences worldwide. He's seemingly immune to the pitfalls of fame, a genuinely likable figure in an industry often perceived as manufactured and superficial. But beneath the polished surface, whispers are emerging, hinting at a more complex, perhaps even contradictory reality. Lately, the narrative surrounding Ryan Reynolds has begun to shift, with backstage anecdotes and critical voices suggesting a different story. One of control, influence, and perhaps a carefully curated image masking a more demanding personality. Is the public persona we've come to adore the complete picture, or are we only seeing one carefully constructed facet of Ryan Reynolds, while a more intricate and potentially controversial reality remains hidden from view? The curtain is beginning to lift, and what's being revealed is far more nuanced than the simple, charming narrative we've been sold.
I know some people like this movie. Some people are stupid. Oops!
Since I've been involved in this case, I've gotten 50 either texts or emails or things to my firm's website, more than 50 actually, about this was my experience with Blake Lively. We weren't allowed to talk to her on the set. We weren't allowed to ask for an autograph. We were, instructed, this way or that. We were treated like this. I mean, and these things aren't coming because we're doing an investigation. These are completely organic. These are based on people's real life experiences. In fact, we've come across evidence that shows that even her own representatives knew that she was threatening and mean and tough and wanted to get her way. This is not something that we wanted out there. It's not something that Justin wanted out there. In fact, it hurts the movie. It doesn't help the movie. And Justin knew.
The first significant ripple in Ryan Reynolds' seemingly placid public image began with murmurs emanating from the set of a film directed by Justin Baldoni. Initially, these were just whispers in the Hollywood grapevine, easily dismissed as typical behind-the-scenes chatter. However, as more details trickled out, a more concerning picture began to emerge. Rumors intensified, alleging that Reynolds, alongside his wife, Blake Lively, and their close friend, the global music icon Taylor Swift, had exerted considerable pressure on Baldoni to fundamentally alter the direction of his film. Imagine the dynamic at play. A director, presumably with a clear artistic vision, finding himself navigating the creative input, or, as some sources suggest, demands, of not one, but 3 individuals wielding immense power and influence in the entertainment industry. This wasn't simply about actors offering suggestions, a common and often collaborative aspect of filmmaking. The allegations painted a scenario of forceful influence, a potential power imbalance where celebrity clout threatened to overshadow the director's artistic authority. Sources hinted at disagreements regarding the film's tone, with suggestions that Lively and her circle pushed for a lighter, more comedic approach, while others indicated a desire for increased dramatic weight. Fundamentally different visions clashing in the high-stakes environment of a film production. The crux of the controversy centered on the notion that Baldoni, despite being the director and ultimately responsible for the film, felt compelled to compromise his original artistic intentions, bowing to the combined influence of these powerful figures. This incident ignited a crucial debate within the industry and among observers. Where is the line between collaborative input and undue influence? And who ultimately dictates the creative direction of a major Hollywood project?
So, what is the latest update? Well, it turns out that Blake Lively was caught on tape talking about how she manipulates people around her in order to take control of the movies upon which she works.
This is important to say, okay, I believe in this, and that's why I'm standing up for it, and that's why I'm not being difficult. And then there are other moments to go like, am I the in the room? Like, what is happening here? I would show up on a set. I knew that they just wanted me to show up and look cute and stand on a little pink sticker where I'm supposed to go and say what I'm supposed to say. But I also knew that like that wasn't fulfilling for me, that I wanted to be a part of the storytelling, that I wanted to be a part of the narrative, whether that be in the writing, in the costume design, in creating the character. And sometimes I had directors or producers or writers who would welcome that and invite that once they saw that I was able to offer that. And sometimes I would have people who really resented that because they were like, we just hired you to be an actor. Yet when I went in the meetings, I would just seem like I'm just there to be the actor and ready to get the gig. I wouldn't reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to feel fulfilled. So I think that for them, sometimes that might have felt like a rug pull because you're like, you're trying to assert yourself into something that we didn't hire you to do. And so it was a really strange position to be in because I felt like I don't want to just like be an actor. Like I want to have more authorship.
Oh my God. And then she did exactly that to Justin Baldoni, apparently. Like that's literally the accusation as to what happened. So first of all, let me point out to Blake Lively, you are an actress. Unless you signed on as a producer or a director, there's literally no reason why your creative input should matter. You're an actor. If you want to write your own script, you should go write your own script. If you want to sign on to a movie with the understanding that you're going to actually make script changes, then great. But if the idea is that you sign on as an actor and then you turn around and try to take control of the script, this makes you a jerk. Right? Like at the very, very least.
Just as the Baldoni script dispute threatened to recede into the realm of unsubstantiated Hollywood gossip, a startling piece of audio evidence surfaced, throwing fuel onto the already simmering fire. A recording emerged, purportedly featuring Blake Lively speaking candidly about her approach to filmmaking, and her words sent shockwaves through the industry. In this audio, Lively appears to openly discuss what some interpreted as manipulative tactics employed to gain creative control over her projects. She speaks of needing authorship, to feel professionally satisfied, implying a willingness to assert her vision, even if it meant challenging the director's established plan. Lively describes a pattern of behavior, suggesting she might initially present herself as agreeable and compliant, only to later strategically introduce and push for her own creative ideas, sometimes catching collaborators off guard. Sometimes I had directors or producers or writers who would welcome that, she concedes in the recording, acknowledging the collaborative ideal. And sometimes I would have people who really resented that, because they were like, we just hired you to be an actor. The timing of this audio's release couldn't have been more impactful. Emerging in the midst of the Baldoni controversy, it provided what many perceived as direct confirmation of the very behaviors being alleged against Lively and her influential circle. Was this audio a smoking gun, a direct admission of manipulative tactics? Or was it a case of comments taken out of context, a nuanced perspective on artistic collaboration misinterpreted as something more sinister? Regardless of interpretation, the Lively tape became a central piece of evidence in the unfolding narrative, further intensifying scrutiny on the power dynamics surrounding Ryan Reynolds and his inner circle.
And then she went and complained about it by attacking him and trying to wreck him because she apparently was at one point in a room with her, Ryan Reynolds, and Taylor Swift trying to bully Justin Baldoni to make changes to the script for this movie.
I want to know more about the presence of Taylor Swift, who sort of leads this like mean girl clique. There was this thing happening over the summer that the Daily Mail reported on where there were other female artists such as Billie Eilish who were releasing albums in the sort of tailwinds of her last release. She was manipulating all of her new releases to keep these women from hitting #1. This is who she runs with. And that tells me everything. And like, I just, to sit there and have your husband bully your director.
Yes.
You know, like, if you don't like this, have the balls to do it yourself.
Right.
Like, don't have your husband throw his weight around.
Meeting with your husband? That's so weird. Like your husband who's Ryan Reynolds. Of course it was a threat.
And in your penthouse, like on your home turf, like using your wealth as leverage,
right?
Like showing off, like,
and
look
your
at
friend Taylor,
and your friend Taylor, who's like, what is she doing there? Is she just like scrolling Instagram?
One of my dragons.
What is she like? That is just wild.
Using exactly these tactics against Justin Baldoni, apparently. That turned out to be a bad tactic.
While the backstage drama captivated industry insiders and online commentators, another front opened in the Ryan Reynolds controversy, this time focusing squarely on his professional output. Ben Shapiro, the prominent political commentator and media personality, known for his unfiltered opinions and often contrarian stances, entered the fray with a blistering critique of Deadpool and Wolverine. Shapiro's review was not merely lukewarm or mildly critical. It was a full-blown assault on the film and, by extension, on Reynolds' established comedic brand. He didn't just express dislike, he unequivocally labeled the movie as bad, a pronouncement delivered with his characteristic bluntness. In a particularly provocative statement, he even implied that those who enjoyed the film were, to put it mildly, lacking in discerning taste, stating, "Some people are stupid for their appreciation." Shapiro's primary grievance centered on what he perceived as creative stagnation and comedic redundancy in Reynolds' work. He argued that the Deadpool and Wolverine film was excessively long, bloated with repetitive jokes, and fundamentally lacking in narrative substance. He specifically targeted Reynolds' reliance on improvisation and ad-libbing, suggesting it had devolved into a crutch, substituting genuine comedic writing with a stream of often juvenile and predictable wisecracks. He famously described the humor as homoerotic and relentlessly repetitive, implying a one-note comedic approach that had become tiresome and predictable. "Every line is ad-libbed and not particularly well," Shapiro asserted, emphasizing his disdain for the perceived lack of craft and originality. Coming from a figure with Shapiro's platform and influence, this scathing review resonated far beyond the typical film criticism sphere. It ignited a widespread debate about the longevity and potential limitations of Reynolds' comedic style, questioning whether his established formula, once a source of fresh and irreverent humor, was now showing signs of wear and tear, potentially alienating segments of his audience.
I know some people like this movie. Some people are stupid. This movie is bad. It is a bad movie. Every joke is too long. It's the same joke over and over, which is some sort of like strange homoeroticism between Deadpool and Wolverine, mainly from Deadpool toward Wolverine. The plot makes zero sense at all. It's 8 hours long. It's just terrible. Again, apparently people sort of love this movie because they thought that it was kind of just wisecracking Ryan Reynolds doing his thing. But every line is ad-libbed and not particularly well. It is just a bunch of jokes about the male appendage.
The layers of the Ryan Reynolds narrative deepened further when Shapiro, in his critical analysis of Deadpool and Wolverine, highlighted a seemingly minor yet intensely debated character. Nice Pool. What initially appeared to be a quirky, throwaway gag within the film soon became the subject of intense scrutiny and speculation. According to Shapiro, and echoed by many online observers, Nice Pool bore an uncanny resemblance to Justin Baldoni, the director at the center of the earlier script dispute allegations. This resemblance wasn't merely superficial, it extended beyond physical appearance to encompass mannerisms, speech patterns, and even subtle personality traits. Suddenly, the two seemingly disparate controversies, the Baldoni script allegations and Shapiro's critique of Reynolds' comedic style, began to converge, creating a tangled web of speculation and innuendo. Was Nice Pool simply a coincidental cameo, a lighthearted pop culture reference within the irreverent Deadpool universe? Or, as Shapiro and numerous others posited, was it a deliberate parody, a veiled jab directed at Baldoni, subtly embedded within the blockbuster film as a form of payback or inside joke stemming from the behind-the-scenes tensions? The resemblance was deemed too striking to be ignored, fueling speculation that Reynolds and his creative team might have used the film as a platform to subtly address, or perhaps even mock, the rumored conflict with Baldoni. The online discourse exploded with theories, ranging from playful in-jokes to deliberate acts of professional slight. The central question remained unanswered. Was Nice Pool a harmless comedic aside, or a calculated, albeit subtle, Hollywood diss, adding another layer of complexity and controversy to the already intricate Ryan Reynolds narrative?
Flight into a tedious experience.
So, I had the misfortune a couple of months ago of being on a plane and looking for a movie to watch and settling on Deadpool versus Wolverine. As I've said before, my first advice as a lawyer to all possible clients: don't do criming on tape. Criming on tape is stupid and bad, and don't do it. It's not a crime to do this, but it does make it look a little suspicious.
The controversies swirling around Ryan Reynolds transcend the specifics of individual film projects or critical reviews. They illuminate a broader, more systemic issue within the Hollywood ecosystem: the ever-shifting dynamics of power and influence. When A-list stars like Reynolds, Lively, and Swift become deeply enmeshed in a film production, the traditional hierarchy of filmmaking can become blurred, and the lines of authority can become indistinct. The allegations surrounding Justin Baldoni's film and the subsequent nice pool speculation raise fundamental questions about the creative autonomy of directors and the potential for celebrity clout to reshape or even override directorial vision. Are directors, traditionally considered the artistic captains of their cinematic ships, truly in control when navigating the currents of A-list star power? Or can their artistic course be subtly, or not so subtly, altered by the combined influence of actors and their powerful entourages? The Reynolds controversies force us to confront the uncomfortable reality of Hollywood's power structures. Is it genuinely a collaborative environment where creative input is welcomed from all corners? Or does it often devolve into a system where those with the loudest voices and the most significant box office draw dictate the creative direction, potentially at the expense of artistic integrity and directorial vision? Hollywood history is replete with tales of behind-the-scenes power struggles, creative clashes, and ego-driven conflicts. However, in the contemporary media landscape, amplified by social media and instant online commentary, these power dynamics are no longer confined to studio backlots and private meetings. They play out in the full glare of public scrutiny, shaping careers, influencing perceptions, and forcing a critical examination of who truly holds the reins of creative control in the entertainment industry.
Entire career, this is the one case we're going to put every single text message, every single document, everything on a website for everyone in the public to read, come to their own conclusions, and they can determine whether or not there was sexual harassment here, there was a smear campaign, or there was retaliation, because we have proof and receipts that absolutely and unequivocally show this is not true.
As these controversies surrounding Ryan Reynolds have unfolded, a crucial element of the narrative has been the response of the public, the fans who have long championed his career and contributed to his immense success. The court of public opinion is a powerful force in Hollywood, and the reactions to these allegations and criticisms have been varied and revealing. Initially, many fans rushed to Reynolds' defense, dismissing the rumors as unfounded gossip or the critiques as overly harsh and subjective. His established goodwill, built over years of charming performances and engaging public appearances, provided a significant buffer against negative sentiment. However, as more details emerged and as voices like Ben Shapiro's gained traction, a more nuanced and, in some cases, critical perspective began to emerge within the fan base. Online forums and social media platforms became battlegrounds for debate, with some fans expressing disappointment or concern over the allegations of backstage influence and the criticisms of comedic repetition. Questions arose about whether Reynolds' actions, if the rumors were to be believed, aligned with the affable and down-to-earth image he had cultivated. A segment of the audience began to question whether the controversies represented a genuine shift in Reynolds' behavior, or simply a more critical lens being applied to a star who had previously enjoyed largely uncritical adoration. The fan response has not been monolithic. It's a spectrum of opinions ranging from unwavering support to growing skepticism. This public reaction is a critical component of the ongoing Ryan Reynolds narrative, as it reflects the evolving relationship between celebrities and their audiences in an age of heightened scrutiny and instant online feedback. The way fans ultimately perceive and react to these controversies will undoubtedly play a significant role in shaping Reynolds' future image and career trajectory. In the face of mounting controversies and public scrutiny, Ryan Reynolds' own response, or perhaps more accurately, his lack of direct response, has become a subject of intense analysis in itself. Known for his savvy social media presence and his carefully crafted public image, Reynolds has largely maintained a strategic silence regarding the Baldoni allegations, the nice pool speculation, and even Ben Shapiro's scathing critique. This silence, however, is far from passive. It appears to be a calculated PR strategy, a deliberate choice to navigate the storm by not directly engaging with the negative narratives. Instead of issuing explicit denials or addressing the controversies head-on, Reynolds has largely continued with his established playbook, leveraging humor, self-deprecation, and focusing on promoting his projects rather than directly confronting the accusations. This approach is typical of many high-profile celebrities facing controversy. Direct denials can often fuel the flames, while strategic silence can sometimes allow the storm to dissipate on its own. However, in the age of relentless online discourse, silence can also be interpreted in multiple ways: as evasion, as tacit admission, or simply as a refusal to engage with what is perceived as negativity. Some observers have pointed to Reynolds' continued use of humor and self-promotion on social media as a way of deflecting from the controversies, maintaining his established persona, and attempting to project an image of being unbothered by the surrounding noise. Others have noted subtle, indirect references to the controversies in his public statements, suggesting a carefully calibrated approach to acknowledge the situation without directly validating or amplifying the negative narratives. Ultimately, Reynolds' PR strategy remains a key element of this unfolding drama. His choices, whether to maintain silence, to subtly address the issues, or to eventually offer a more direct response, will undoubtedly shape the narrative moving forward and influence how these controversies ultimately impact his public image and long-term career. Ultimately, the unfolding saga of Ryan Reynolds leaves us at a critical juncture, a point of reflection on the nature of Hollywood stardom and the ever-evolving relationship between public image and private reality. Reynolds, once seemingly untouchable in his public adoration, now stands at a crossroads, his carefully constructed persona facing unprecedented scrutiny. He remains a box office draw, a comedic talent admired by millions. Yet, the whispers of backstage influence, the sting of critical assessments, and the lingering questions surrounding controversies like Nice Pool have undeniably introduced a layer of complexity to his public image, perhaps even a degree of unease. Will these controversies prove to be fleeting distractions, quickly forgotten in the relentless churn of the Hollywood news cycle? Or will they coalesce into a more lasting shift in public perception, fundamentally altering how audiences view Ryan Reynolds and his future endeavors? Will he adapt and evolve, perhaps embracing new creative challenges to silence his critics and reaffirm his artistic versatility? Or will he remain steadfast in his established comedic lane, risking accusations of formulaic repetition and creative stagnation? The narrative of Ryan Reynolds is far from reaching its conclusion. It is an ongoing, unfolding Hollywood saga, a real-time drama playing out in the public sphere, filled with twists, turns, and unanswered questions. And as long as the rumors persist, the critiques resonate, and the controversies linger, one thing remains undeniably clear. The story of Ryan Reynolds has become significantly more intricate, considerably more compelling, and undeniably more entertaining than perhaps even his most successful blockbuster films. The curtain has been pulled back, and the audience is now keenly watching to see what act will follow in this fascinating and increasingly tangled Hollywood drama.